Biztech's technology show. Today we feature Leonard Tan. He's the Regional Director for Singapore and the Greater China region at OutSystems. Now, to tell us more about OutSystems, Leonard, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, Leonard, for a start, give us an overview of OutSystems, what it does, and a little bit about its history.
Sure. I think OutSystems, we are a pioneer in low-code application development. And of course, we are actually founded in 2001 with the business model of empowering businesses to build and deliver enterprise applications through the use of visual development, what we call as drag and drop, right? So essentially, what OutSystems is offering is an intuitive visual approach to developing applications. Now, if we think of it, it's effectively like stacking Lego blocks together, right? So the core idea is that you can stack, no matter how big of an application you're trying to build or how big of a house you want to build, these are actually pre-built components that are actually offered to you, templates, ready-made applications that effectively simplify the software development process, right? Before the pandemic to now, we actually witnessed the growing needs for enterprises to build applications quickly, right? And making an impact to how developers are, doing their applications or developing today. And so this is where we come in to support businesses to accelerate their digital transformation journey. Now, globally, we work with over 400 partners and, of course, thousands of active customers to ensure that the developer teams can actually build and, get the benefit out of, the low-code platform like OutSystems.
And so the interesting thing, and as I was doing research for this interview, the interesting thing that you could see is you obviously have some companies that start off very small with your free service. You can just use that to develop one application, and then you can scale that into multiple applications.
Exactly.
Now, could you give us a sense of where your strengths are in terms of industry focus and verticals?
So the thing about low-code, or especially from OutSystems' perspective, is that we are actually not an industry-specific technology, right? So the key idea is whatever that you could potentially do on traditional coding, OutSystems offer you the same ability and experience, just that you're doing it visually, right? So we serve over 20 or 30 over industries within the market that actually leverages on OutSystems. Now, here in Singapore, we don't just work with large-scale enterprises, we even work with non-profit organizations or startups because we believe that low-code can be utilized by everyone and anyone that needs to ideate, anyone that needs to actually be able to grow a business or even test bed a solution, right? So that's the same concept on why we allow customers to be able to leverage on the platform, from a like a freemium model that you can actually immediately try it out, build something on your own. And when you're ready to go production or have multiple scale of applications, that's where we support the adoption of OutSystems, bearing in mind that that will give you the best in class kind of like ROI, TCO, and of course experience in totality.
Now, from your experience, because obviously you have a Singapore market, which on its onset geographically is small, but hosts many headquarters for multinationals and so forth. Then on the other side of the equation, you have your Greater China market responsibility. What are the fundamental differences around these two markets?
I think I will start by saying what's similar in these markets, and then I will share with you what's fundamentally different. Now, the similarity is that with regards to either Singapore or Hong Kong, both countries face the same fundamental problem, alike rest of the global scenes, right? But the idea of being able to hire resources, being able to retain talents in the company is increasingly becoming so much more difficult. And that is really true, the fact that, whether it's through pandemic, geopolitical reasons, but the fact is that, hiring becomes so much more tougher. But the truth is we still need to innovate. We still need to deliver experiences that matter. And the only way that you can do it is by, kind of coupling in technology to improve the productivity. So that's what I see similar, right? Especially, for Singapore and Hong Kong. But I guess the differences in the approach would be the maturity of the markets, right? So low code is adopted in many kind of use cases, in many kind of forms, but especially in Hong Kong, right? We see that organizations are keen to actually adopt the use of OutSystems or low code to effectively transform and automate processes that are either paper-based or improve operational efficiencies, right? So this is the kind of trend that we are seeing specifically in Hong Kong. Now, when we talk about Singapore, it's about, we need to deliver really strong customer experience. The whole concept of omni-channel platforms is exactly what we view very strongly, especially from the fact of convenience, and as a consumer, can I actually ensure that whatever I see on the web is the same I see on the mobile? So fundamentally, the platform is used in many different kind of use cases, but there is always a trend that you will see. Now, in Taiwan, for example, right? Taiwan would be perhaps looking at a lot of legacy system transformation, right? So there's a lot of these legacy systems like Lotus Notes and AS400, and organizations are struggling to say, should we or should we not start, leveraging on this new and emerging technologies to effectively start improving on business outcomes that drives more businesses for the markets.
And also, Leonard, it's interesting that you talked about legacy systems. When I was doing research for this, I came across one of your customer success stories from MDEC in Malaysia, where they had to take 50 old applications, which were more than 10 years old, and they, in 4 months, started to reduce the amount of applications that they were using, I think from 16 to about 8.
Exactly.
The key driver around that was really around not only efficiency, but also just cost, because the cost of maintaining all of these legacy systems was getting more and more expensive.
That is true. That is so true. And to the point of MDEC, right? It's really leading the way of transformation, right? As the Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation, looks into transforming and of course, being able to consolidate applications together, right? So whenever we talk about transformation, the key idea is, can we do more with less, right? If you have 50 legacy applications, you need not want to actually do 50 of the same, right? You want to see if can we do that in 25. So as an employee, I can go to one portal to serve 20 needs instead of going to 20 portals to serve one need, right? So that's exactly what transformation journey looks like for many of our clients. So by offering low code, while it's a way of being able to develop, a lot of times it's about us going into the field and helping customers to understand how can you effectively, do better in what you're doing, and potentially help you to actually drive business outcomes on that, right? So that's a classic example of what we have done with MDEC in Malaysia.
Now, one of the things is companies like OutSystems started out with low code and drag and drop technologies way back in 2001. But today, with the event of AI, we are moving to more and more towards no code. Tell us about this shift and this revolution and how that's going to change the way that companies basically transform themselves.
Sure. So I think first of all, I'll start by sharing that, Gartner has advocated again and again, right, that 70% of new applications developed by organizations will use some form of low code or no code technologies by 2025, right? And we can already start seeing that the trends and the market sentiments of how people are perceiving low code is increasing, and there's much more visibility on this. Now, low code and no code are actually two kind of topics that people would kind of come together, right? And they will comment together. But the basis of the difference, right, would actually depend on what is required of the organization, right? So when we talk about no code looks into templates, right? So a lot of these pre-built templates that's already available, the key concepts of, me needing to build something, I can already leverage on whatever the tool provides, right? So in that sense in itself, you can actually see that a lot of no-code tools out there are typically domain focused, right? So they target a specific industry, or it could target a specific vertical or specific solution that cuts across verticals. So that's the key idea of how we see many of these no-code technologies, implemented along with this whole rave about low-code, no-code. Now, low-code on the other spectrum, right, is about the ability to give you, drag and drop capabilities, but in the event you need to actually customize, right? You would not want to use another technology or another tool to augment, but you want to do it on the same platform, right? But because the key idea is you don't want to create technical debt in your organizations. When we adopt low code, the fundamental concepts that we have today is we have lesser resources, we need to do more. That means I can't have that many technologies to actually govern, to maintain, right? So what low code essentially offers is the basis of the ability to actually code if you require, and you can effectively go speed without walls, right? That's the same topic that we typically talk about. Now, on the topic of AI, right? So AI has always been the very fundamentals of how low code and no code tools are actually being leveraged today, right? Whether is it in the code generation capabilities, whether or not it's suggestive kind of language modeling, being able to speed up the whole concept, AI has always been implemented. Now, how has AI actually been viewed within OutSystems, right? So at least within OutSystems, we actually recently launched, Project Morpheus, right? So Project Morpheus is a way to actually enable and also let our customers know on what exactly are this forthcoming suite of AI-powered solutions that we are offering, right? Some of them includes, the ability for the IDE to actually understand what, developers are trying to do and then best suggest what's the next course of action, right? And perhaps there is also an ability for you to say, I don't really know how to do certain things. I can actually do, I can ask a suggestion within the platform and it can actually help you to piece data together. So AI has always been part of most low-code and no-code tools, but at least from OutSystems stance, Project Morpheus effectively addresses, the fact that AI can actually be used, coupled, to actually develop even much faster or increase the productivity of the developers that are effectively using these tools.
So Product Morpheus is obviously one of those key innovations and product rollouts that is going to happen at OutSystems. What else are you looking at in the next 12 to 24 months as a company?
Much more, right? I think Project Morpheus is effectively looking at internally what OutSystems is offering. Of course, now with the whole ChatGPT, being launched today in the market, we also want to be leading the way to enable customers to leverage the best of what ChatGPT can effectively offer, right? So this actually includes us offering a new connector for ChatGPT, and effectively the use cases that we typically would see is that perhaps in the insurance use case, you could actually upload your policies and ChatGPT could actually study what your policies are today and give you recommendations and comparisons between what you are offered today and what's going to be offered by the company, right? So that is in one form. But what else is OutSystems doing in terms of the next 8 to 12 months, right? So this includes, one of our newest cloud-native development platforms. So we actually term this as OutSystems Developer Cloud. Now, OutSystems has been, a company since 2001. So we have actually built a lot of expertise and resources in making sure that we offer the best-in-class low-code solution. But we understand that as we are moving, into this whole digital landscape and era where changes are constantly happening, we had to offer a platform that allows cloud-native applications to be built on, right? So this really includes containerization, being able to unify experiences that consolidates your application for better management experience, right? So a lot of our focus and our efforts, it's really about ensuring that our customers get the best experiences using OutSystems, and that comes in the form of ODC, right? So above and beyond, we are revolutionizing a lot of what ODC can offer today. Many of these tools that we are leveraging today are in fact emerging technologies out there that we see that in the next 8 to 12 months, this will be something that CIOs and CTOs will be very much interested in.
Now, looking ahead, so you've got a very extensive product and technology roadmap ahead. In the countries that you're responsible for, where are you seeing the growth opportunities in the next 12 to 24 months?
Many, in fact, many, in fact. We started very much heavily working with government in Singapore, but increasingly we are also seeing that outside of government, in the likes of conglomerates, banking and finance industries, down to logistics, many of these companies out there are effectively looking for low-code solutions to augment on top of their teams, right? So even in the regions outside of Singapore, in Malaysia, in Hong Kong, it is the fact that we see that it is really not in a specific industry that we start to see that this particular industry is trying to do more, but across the board, right? Everyone faces the same problem. Everyone has a need. I think it's about, then the question comes is the maturity of them looking at low code, whether the organization is ready, right? And I think above and beyond is that, do they have the structures in place, to make sure that low code can be best fitted into the organization. So these are the kind of, trends that I'm probably seeing in terms of industry.
Then it's been a very fascinating conversation. I've learned a lot, but before we leave, any final thoughts you'd like to leave our audience with?
I think there are many of these low-code, no-code tools out there in the market, to be very open, right? I mean, just a click on Google, you can already see a list of so many low-code and no-code tools. I think that the most important thing that I always share with businesses is, when you adopt low or no-code, what are you adopting it for? How do you effectively set a vision of how these tools can effectively help you to grow your businesses? But beyond technology, I think the very important thing is that you need to look at, what the ecosystem can offer you to support the technology. That's going to be very important, right? When you talk about future proofing, it's about ensuring that talents can join you, talents can grow, and you can actually effectively reskill or upskill your resources. So ecosystem has always been something that we are very much in tuned on. Just the case in point is that we work with institutions across the region. Example, in ITE, Institute of Technical Education in Singapore, we signed an MOU with the institute to actually roll out low code as a topic, to actually teach students and industry partners to learn OutSystems, right? Even in Malaysia, we work with Asia Pacific University to actually do hackathons, right, within the organization. So you can actually see that, what is important for organization is not just technology, but what's behind the technology that is supporting it, right? So who is supporting it and how can they support it? That's going to be the fundamental differences, that I urge, the listeners to actually be able to understand and, make the best decision on what low code can do for you in your business and industry today.
Leonard, thank you very much for taking your time to be on the show.
No worries. Thank you so much.
Now, we've been speaking to Leonard Tan. He's the Regional Director for Singapore and the Greater China region at OutSystems. I'm Brian Fernandez, and you've been watching and listening to Biztech's Technology Show. This interview will be on our website, www.biztech.asia, as well as our syndication partners, TV stations, radio stations, and websites. Thanks a lot for tuning in.